nachos, amigos, and welcome to Record Breakers, a music podcast where a group of friends gather together to share music with each other, an album at a time. It's like a little book club for music. One time had by all. I'm Petey Rave, and I've more or less got my hypertension under control now. Kind of. Here with me is my team, my squad, my crew, my gang, my
gang.
We've got David.
Hi, I'm David, and aside from the occasional bout of dizziness, the Wellbutrin is providing pretty good results.
Mm-hmm. We've got Drew.
So the city I work in, their mayor, decided to say that doing ice fishing licenses would be a bad idea on a slippery slope, because it could lead next year to people wanting to do, ice shanties. And with ice shanties, you would also get the next obvious logical connection, which is prostitution.
Yes. I
That's a real thing that happened.
Yeah, that
Never
makes sense.
change, Ohio. Never change.
And of course, last but not least, here for in the rotating fourth chair, we've got Patty McSwag, aka Patrick Swagger. Hey, Patrick.
Hello. Our mayor can't keep the water working consistently when the weather gets bad. Kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Also, electricity.
Yeah.
This time, it did not fail me personally, so it's okay.
We're here to talk about an album. We're here to talk about some music, and the provider of the album finally is his turn. Patrick, what have you got for us this week?
So when I heard this album, other than enjoying it, it was like, man, this would be fun to talk about on the internet in sort of a podcast format with other people who like music, because it was one of those, hey, I have not heard something quite like this before, but also I've heard all of this stuff somewhere before, just not quite put together like this. So I brought the band Covet and their album from 2020, Technicolor.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about expectations. Drew, I'll start with you. Drew, what were your expectations coming into this album?
Well, to start, I had really none. And then I saw the album cover, and I guess I went with, my thought was, okay, either I'm going to really like this album, or it's going to be a glass jaw situation, and I'm going to feel bad.
Yes. David, what were your expectations coming into this album?
Patrick tried to sell this album to me almost specifically as a DJM kind of album, finger quotes. So I kind of had an idea of what it was going to sound like. It would probably have some things with some time signatures and some key changes, and there's some of that. But it also has some things that I would expect from something that Patrick would contribute to the podcast. So it's pretty much as I saw coming for the most part.
Yeah. I was not sure exactly what to expect, but I kind of had some inklings. I figured it was going to be quirky, and it was going to be in I think of the terms math rock was thrown around somewhere. So I had some ideas. I wasn't quite sure what exactly specifics, but there was some inkling as to what to expect. But yeah, let's talk about this album. Patrick, how would you describe this album musically?
Well, you said the math rock word. There is definitely some math rock in here, but also so generally, for the most part, math rock never quite stands precisely alone. That's always math rock plus a thing or plus several things. I always feel like it ends up in this. Yeah, it's basically take another genre of rock music and add lots of crazy ass time signatures and stuff. So this is sort of math rock plus Midwest emo plus jangly indie rock plus borderline jazz at times. it's got a little bit of everything, and really starring guitar player Yvette Young, who is doing all the two-hand tapping, melody and harmonies and rhythms, all the things. It's very much of like, I think where guitar stuff has been going the last few years. There's a lot of people who have sort of brought back fingerstyle two-handed tapping, but not like Eddie Van Halen two-handed tapping, but like more melodic two-handed tapping, and doing interesting things with it. And I think this is like, when I first heard this, I was like, it was very much a holy shit, where has this been all of my life?
So Patrick, are you familiar?
Things I like.
Are you familiar with the work of Steve Hackett?
I'm familiar with the name. I don't know how much I am. Is there a band he was in, or is he just doing solo stuff? I don't know.
Steve Hackett was the original lead. Well, not the original lead guitarist, but the most prominent lead guitarist of the band Genesis. And
yeah, that's why
he was the lead guitarist during the Peter Gabriel era and the first few Phil Collins albums, and he was one of the really early innovators of melodic tapping on the guitar.
It's a really cool thing, and I love that it's very much part of a lot of different disparate genres of music right now, because it's just cool. I like it. Like a long time ago in a galaxy far away, I brought Khaki King on here, who does it primarily on acoustic guitars. And this is that same sort of technique, but to a different sort of place. I like that.
Mm-hmm. Drew, how would you describe this album musically?
Well, one, it's fronted by a woman who can fucking play the guitar. So if you want a guitar album, this is a good one. If you're watching the video, you saw my eyes light up when Patrick mentioned the Midwest emo. I was looking the entire album for, why does this seem so familiar to me? And it's, if you had the front bottoms, you took out the singing and you made the musicians good. And I like the front bottoms. Like, Twin Size Mattress is one of like the top like 10 or 15 emo songs all time. But they're not great musicians, because most like emo and punk people aren't. That's sort of the charm.
Remind me after this podcast, because oh boy, do I have the band for you.
Okay. But like, it's definitely that era of like front bottoms and modern baseball and like that sort of Midwest emo. And I dig that. The layering on this, just the texture to it all, as far as the production goes, is amazing. Also, math rock sometimes can tend to, in my opinion, be homework and less listenable, if that makes sense. It's more like, I'm sitting down to this because I want to dig into the weird music, but this actually, you can do that for sure, but it's also like listenable. It has that quality of like this. I'm going to make weird connections, but it's the SMV situation. That album is infinitely listenable to me, but also if you want to pick it apart, it's Stanley, Marcus, and Victor. You can pick it apart. This album to me feels the same way. Like, I can put it on in the background. It can be chill. It can be cool. And like, if somebody digs instrumental jazz, like, I can give them this and they can dig it. But if they do like more instrumental stuff, just like a lo-fi hip hop or something like that, they can go into the same mindset with that. It is relaxing, yet not. There are parts where this really goes up there. The bass tonality in this is amazing. The drumming is super impressive, but there was muscles flexed by both of those guys in and out, but it's Yvette's band. Like, you come for the guitar, you leave for the guitar. Like, it is what it is. Like,
yeah. David, how would you describe this album musically?
I don't know what Midwest emo is, so I will take your guys' word on that. But as far as math rock plus something else, that is pretty accurate. It has those things that make you sit down and listen to the intricacies of the guitar work, while also not being, say, a lot of widdly and a lot of really loud shredding, which can be off-putting. It is a nap time kind of album, but in a good way. You can put this on and it can be very, very relaxing. And it's atmospheric in a way, but it's also got a little bit of a drive to it. Just a little bit, just enough to where you're not totally sinking into the couch.
Yeah, it's relaxing. It's like Drew said, you can let it kind of fade in the background and chill to it, or put it on in your car and just kind of have a calm drive to work or home from or to school or whatever, like I did. Or you can sit down with your headphones and listen for all the details, listen for the journeys that it goes on musically, and the ideas that pop in as far as what each song brings, and yeah, it has that it doesn't feel as much like full on heady homework, as has been mentioned. Like, it can be the math rocks, the post rock, those can be a little heady, but this is approachable and cool and fun in that way. The guitars are fantastic. The guitar is fantastic, and just kind of you can listen to and you see the kind of cool things that are cool ways that she's exploring the guitar, and cool things that she's kind of playing, kind of doing a bit of a little bit of dancing with it, and it is cool. Yeah, and let's drill into some of the tracks. Patrick, what would be some of the key tracks for you?
I mean, we'll start sort of after the intro. Good morning. The song Atreyu, not named for the band, but for the character from Neverending Story, as is appropriate. This has all of the things. It's like the kind of lo-fi, slightly delayed guitars, sort of jangly indie rock, but then jazz drums and really, really thumpy, fun bass lines. And I think you guys all sort of brought it up, is what I like about Covet is, if you want to be the person to dig into whatever, trying to figure out what time signature something's in, or what's happening musically, you can, or you can just sit back and relax and listen to it, because it is just it's familiar enough in the sense that it just kind of sounds like weird indie rock, and it's got many things there, but the more you dig into it, the more you see that sort of jazzier, proggier, mappier thing happening. Nero, I love the opening of this song, just octave fuzzy guitar, and it gets really, really mathy in the beginning, really complicated, to where it almost feels like the drums don't know where the beat is and they're trying to find it, except that they're still playing a rhythm. And it does that thing that really the music nerd in me loves about math rock, is where it's it on its own, any one part of it might not sound quite musical, but when you put it all together, it all sort of, the layers add up, and you get something really really interesting, but also sort of like it's not like full blown like avant-garde jazz. It's kind of the Goldilocks zone where there's still a groove that you can find even if you're not a music nerd. There's still somewhere for you to settle down. And then Aries. That song just reminds me of old Minus the Bear, and I love Minus the Bear. If you never listened to them, you should. It's got cool guitar loops and like this syncopation that happens with the guitar and the drums, to where like the bass drums sort of doing some pretty cool stuff. The bass is almost the whole song completely independent of the guitar and drums, kind of doing its own thing, but because of the way the song's put together, you end up kind of building something out of it, something really interesting, to where it's more than its parts, and you have like this sort of, if this were just Yvette Young with a loop pedal, it would be only like music for guitar nerds. But like, because she has other really good musicians in the band who complement her and add their own things to it, the drums throughout this, there's really nice fills. There's a lot of times where it's super tight but not crazy technical, but like also like really hard to like, it would be really hard for someone like me who's a crappy drummer to play. It's really interesting and good, and the bass is like filling and makes it sound really full in the way that bass should add to music, and you end up kind of with sort of an album of tones and textures and many things happening, but you can either listen to it with an analytical ear, or you can just turn it on in the background and relax, because it does both so well. And it's, like I said, it's kind of that Goldilocks zone where it's as complicated as you want it. It's like a Pixar movie. If you're 5 years old, Toy Story is delightful. If you're 25 years old, Toy Story is delightful. If you're 45 years old, Toy Story is delightful. There's something for everyone, I think.
I was dead inside at 5 years old, though, so...
Toy Story 3 is the one they made for you.
Oh, right. It's true.
Let me tell you all about Encanto.
That movie's terrific. Low-key, great movie, great music.
There's nothing low-key about it. It's great.
It's amazing. People should watch it. Okay, I will. But like this is a friendly reminder that the guitar is not dead, and that there are still new guitar heroes being born every day and making cool new stuff.
Yeah. Drew, what would be some of the key tracks for you?
Well, to start out, with the start, good morning. That string, like the softness of it, I think was really poignant. It was intricate, it was deep, but like you could hear the string noise. It sort of warned you, like, hey, there are going to be things like you want to try to clue in on here. It's like when in a movie you make everybody talk in like almost whispers because you want them to like pay attention to what's going on. I feel like that is what guitar string noise does at the beginning of this album. And then it builds into this wonderful layering, like cymbal syncopation that just comes in and adds so much to it. Nero, they got a crunchy, like early aughts, like alt rock, like almost butt rock tone out while being good musically, which is weird but awesome. Like, I'm super down for that. Because it was never the tone I had a problem with. It was the weird misogyny and grossness of that whole genre. So this
Motley Crue.
Let's talk about Poison. God, no. And then Farewell. This felt like a 90s sing-along track with the complexity of a jazz tune, and I'm super down for that mishmash of awesome. Like, I'm super okay. Like, everything they seem to add in and layer on top of this, like, really, like, jazzy, intricate musicality was really super smart and super fun and spoke to something for me. So, like, ending it this way was just, like, A+.
Yeah. David, what would be some of the key tracks for you?
I think Aries had some interesting, intricate noodling. That's the prog term, noodling. Some might also call it widdly widdly. Pirouette also had a nice little ride to it. It was atmospheric, but not totally sleepy, as I described earlier. I really liked the second half of the album. I felt like that half of the album, starting with Nero and going onwards, was particularly strong. It's not as in your face as an album would normally be, but I think that it has just enough of a little bit of a pickup from the first album to where you're not totally like laid out and lying down. I think the final track, Farewell, where the vocalist returns, was also pretty enjoyable start to finish. But I would say everything after track 5, Nero, was fairly strong. The second half of the album especially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you guys pretty much touched on everything. I think the only thing I want to add is like the opening track, Good Morning, makes a really good intro. I would say the big thing that I kept getting in my head for the beginning of Good Morning is that it sounds like the soundtrack to a documentary, when it's like at the beginning where you're listening to an testimonial on a documentary, like life. Life is about choices and decisions, and you see like slow motion B-roll and things like that. That's the big thing, a documentary soundtrack, but it does that's in a good way, and the I would say when any of the songs with the vocals are really, really cool to me. It's a mostly instrumental track, but like hearing, especially when the first time you hear it on Parachute, the vocals come in was a nice surprise. Was a nice pleasant surprise. Yeah, let's bring it back around the horn and talk about some conclusive thoughts. Drew, what would be your conclusion on this album as a whole?
This is, I think, one of the only math rock bands I've ever listened to that, like, I would be able to, like, just throw on and not have anybody, like, look at me like, what the hell is going on? But I could also give it to, like, Jake, who loves jazz music, and he would get something out of it. Like, and there's not many bands, I feel like, coming out that can thread that needle. Stanley Clarke did it for a while in the 80s, right? But, like, you don't get that a lot out of younger music, I guess. And that's what makes me really happy about this, is because they're all relatively young. Like, it makes you feel good about the youths.
The youths.
That, like, because that's the thing, right? That's been the stereotype, is that, like, rock music's dying, guitar music's dying, like, all that sort of stuff. And then stuff like this comes out, and it's like, nah, fuck what you heard. Like, we got this. It's cool.
Yeah.
So, it is an infinitely listenable record that has a lot of depth to it. And there's not many records out there that you can say that about.
Mm-hmm. David, what would be your conclusion on this album as a whole?
This is a pretty chill album with some splashes, some pepperings, if you will, of melancholy. It's not mind-melting agony, but just sort of a gray fall, rainy afternoon sort of vibe. If you how do I put this? It's more like you probably need to get something to eat, take a shower, play some video games, rather than fully needing therapy in that terms of a vibe. The music is solid. The drumming was really good. I really enjoyed the drumming. And there's some stuff interspersed throughout the album just as a entire composition and arrangements that can be pretty fun, pretty entertaining. There's just enough here and there to pull you in and hold your attention.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a good background album overall. It doesn't demand your attention so much. But if you do pay attention, you'll get something good out of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is, like as it said, it is a good background chill album to kind of like put on while you're doing stuff, put on while you're driving, put on while you're doing homework, doing work, doing chores. But there's depth there to explore. There's stuff to sink your teeth into, and there's fun things at play. There's fun dancing at work with the guitar work, and as well as the bass and drums, and they also have fun music videos, which is really cool. I can always appreciate going and just having fun with your music videos. But yeah, last but not least, Patrick, what would be your conclusion on this album as a whole?
I think it very much, like Drew was saying, like, guitar music ain't dead, rock ain't dead, new stuff is still happening. Maybe it's not happening at the level some of us wish it would, but it's still absolutely out there. Yvette Young is literally 10 years ago was a girl on YouTube playing guitar and now has like a kick-ass rock band. That's pretty neat. Like that very much like the kids a little younger than us are growing up to make cool stuff. Like, how cool is it that, a girl in her 20s has a signature guitar with Ibanez? That's pretty sick. That didn't happen 10 years ago. That's like not a thing that people were doing. So like, it's making music more interesting because new people are making it, and this is about as approachable as you could get for something this complicated and musically in depth. It's very approachable and listenable, and you can just enjoy it just because it sounds cool. But if you like, you play an instrument, it has like that extra level to dig into. Or if you're like David and you have like this whole history of listening to prog rock, like there's stuff here that ties back to that sort of thing because it's very much an influence here. It's really cool stuff, but at the same time, like held down by kind of jangly modern indie rock. It's really fun, and people should listen to it. That is my basic thought: is go listen to it because it's fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are our thoughts on Covet's Technicolor. Now we get to the main event of the evening, the moment you've all been waiting for, our Haiku Reviews.
Listeners and podcasters, please set your seats and tray tables to their upright and locked positions.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime I hear that, I just think of Albuquerque by Weird Al.
Albuquerque. Let's get down to the nitty gritty. Let's get down to the nitty gritty. Haiku numero uno.
Do you think Weird Al would be a great Super Bowl halftime show? I feel like I've said that for years.
I've seen him live enough to say just definitively it would be up there with Prince. That level of good.
You know who I really thought was underrated as a Super Bowl halftime show? Bruno Mars.
I happened to be watching that year. I think my dad was that the year the Eagles were in it a few years ago? I think it was.
I know the Red Hot Chili Peppers were there.
But like Bruno Mars,
Bruno
was a
Mars
solid
doesn't
one.
miss. Like,
Yeah.
fucking don't miss.
He really doesn't. He really doesn't.
You don't miss.
It's like there's
Don't
two
ever
people in
miss.
this world I'm like supremely jealous of. It's him and fucking Donald Glover. Like fucking goddamn it, motherfuckers don't miss on shit, and it's annoying.
What do you think next is for Donald Glover after Atlanta? What do you think? Do you think he's gonna go back to music or maybe something else?
No, I would love another like ridiculous concept double album, like fucking because of the internet and Kawhi, but like fucking. I don't know.
Yes.
Okay, now everybody got it out of their system. Let's do the haikus.
Yes. Haiku review. Drew, what is your haiku?
Beauty in numbers, lovingly crafted music. Glad you brought it in.
David, what is your haiku?
Modern, moody vibes. Twee, atmospheric math rock. No adrenaline.
My haiku, a math rock showcase, some great talent on display. It's smart, cool, and chill. And last but not least, Patrick, what is your haiku?
Math rock meets indie. Ridiculous guitars. Fun for music nerds.
Yeah, those are our thoughts on Covet's Technicolor. You can of course find it on our Spotify playlist. Play Record Breakers, the home game. Do your due diligence and your due diligence.
PD, are we on Pandora?
I should look into that we can make playlists. I haven't been on Pandora in a while. I should also look into Apple Music and things like that. But
I think. Hold on.
But
Quick finish, PD. Wrap it up.
Yes,
Go.
Pandora, we'll look into those, but definitely Spotify. We have two playlists, one with the episodes slotted in as appropriate, one without. You use whichever one tickles your fancy. Be sure to follow there. On that Spotify playlist will be next week's album. The next person in the fourth chair is going to be a surprise, even for me.
No, not for PD. PD knows exactly who it is, and he's just saving it.
Yes.
We're already.
Nice.
We're on Apple Podcasts. It's cool.
Oh yeah, definitely Apple Podcast. But look forward. I'll try to see if I can make an Apple Music playlist or something like that. But yeah.
Oh, good point.
On that Spotify playlist and maybe on those other playlists will be next week's record, and we don't this guess is a surprise, but the album is not. It's gonna be my pick, obviously, and I'm just gonna go ahead and do it. I'm gonna be the one to bring back "We Are the Union," and we're gonna be talking about their latest album, "Ordinary Life."
We Are the Union, you said?
Yes, "We Are the Union." Yes, I am the one bringing the ska album. Yes.
I think I've already brought.
Should I look for a
Self-Care
K-pop album then?
You brought We Are the Union. That's how I heard them the first time.
The self-titled one, I think.
Okay,
Yeah.
so PD, you're bringing the ska. Next time I'm around, I'll look for a K-pop album or something from Japan. And Drew, you bring.
Bring Queensryche. Fuck it.
Oh
Yeah.
God, yes.
I think
I was like,
David just came.
I was like, I need to think of a prog band.
Fucking love
but-
Queensryche. All
While
eras of Queensryche.
While David cleans up, that'll be next week, and this is this week, and you can of course find us all over the internet. Drew is at X. David is at Call Me DJM. I'm at PD Rave. Patrick is at The Swagger. Record Breakers is at number 4 Record Breakers. That's the number 4 Record Breakers. RecordBreakersPodcast.com. Rebelli.net for this and other shows. Rebelli TV on YouTube and on Twitch. We're live on Twitch several days a week with This podcast, Through the Tomes, our D&D show, we're going to do like a bi-weekly, every other week kind of a thing now, so look out for that. The other weeks we'll probably do some other random streams and things like that. Also things like the Witching Hours, which me and Daisy coaches me on the ways of the Witcher, and right now our Mass Effect, my Mass Effect playthrough, and who knows after that, maybe Dragon Age, maybe something else. Look out for that. But yeah, all of those at the Rebellion TV Twitch, as well as via VODs over on the YouTube of Rebellion TV as well. Like, share, subscribe, follow, hit the bell, smash the walrus, spank the monkey.
Petey, we're on Twitch.
Yes. Until next time, hasta los huevos.
Toodaloo.
Todd Latour is a better Jeff Tate than Jeff Tate.
Thanks, Bob, for being in the chat.
Fighting.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.